So we're going to begin our service with prayer. Knowing that divine mind is at work in my life, and what I can do is connect to this heart-centered intelligence, which leads me on my path. I check in with this intelligence as often as I need to, which calms me and provides clarity. This is something I can do. I can check in with my internal compass, which is spirit. Try doing this every hour. How am I feeling? I'm doing okay. Then something happens. How am I now? Take a breath. Do I need to do something? The heart-centered intelligence lets me know. Everything we need is within us. Do your check-in and know that divine intelligence will lead you. Thank you, God, for this divine guidance. And so it is. Amen.
And our second song today is one we haven't heard in a while. We love this song by India Ari. It's I Am Light.
I am light, I am
Thank you. You may be seated.
I make it happen. You want the gold encrusted seat? Believe. It's a metaphor, right? For all that our heart desires, those things we know that we're worthy of and we believe. And truth students, such as we are, we make it happen with our thoughts and our faith, our imagination, and all our lovely powers inherent within. So today, we're going to take a dive into the creative process. As manifestors, we need to understand the creative process, the step-by-step walk that we walk day by day to make stuff happen. Again, we make stuff happen. So repeat after me, I make it happen.
I make it happen.
Is it true? Yes, you feel that? Because the important thing with an affirmation is to feel it, right? And if you forgot to feel it, say it to yourself again right now and let yourself feel it. Because, you have lots of evidence that you've collected so far. Made lots of stuff happen. You can think of a few examples that are really powerful that can, propel yourself forward. We need to encourage ourselves, is my point. So in Genesis of the Christian Bible, we find a creation story in the beginning. So we know that beginnings are now moments. We are always invited to begin again in the now moment, aren't we? That's called beginner's mind, that place, that void. It's like a blank canvas, which can either freak us out, or we can give in to our fear, or we can tap into our faith and power ourselves forward with our understanding and will. So as a youngster, I always wondered in the creation story when I read it, how could it be that where was God before creation? Of course, I was taking the story literally. I was reading this Bible story and I was like, okay, so in the beginning, so what was before the beginning, right? And where was God before everything existed? And it was quite a conundrum for me to try and work that out, which I couldn't until I started to understand that metaphor is a huge story to help us understand. We think in images as human beings, and metaphysics is a huge help to dive into the meaning of the story and help us find a deeper meaning that talks to our souls. So in Unity, we do know that storytelling is more about education and enlightenment than a literal factual history lesson. Indigenous cultures also know that storytelling is a wonderful way to teach cultural values and receive emotional healing. In Genesis, we find a 6-step creative process. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was empty, a formless mass cloaked in darkness. So the metaphor I found in this line, in these words, empty, cloaked in darkness, for me was for the dark night of the soul. Something we have all endured at some point in our lives. It's a necessary part of our learning, of our advancement, of our going from the old to the new. A time in your life when you felt like everything was on hold. Perhaps you feel like that now. A time when you felt lost. Perhaps you had an illness that kept you grounded and you couldn't go anywhere. There is this void of no-thingness where Spirit is hovering over the surface. Regardless of whether we feel it or not, the Spirit of God is within us, biding its divine timing. Creativity is present even in not knowing, in frustration and confusion as our brains work to work it out. We're in the void. We can take comfort in our faith, in the knowing that Spirit hovers, and draw near to the comfort that the Holy Spirit is working in our soul, and we are never alone. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God called the light day and the darkness night. Together, this made up one day. And during this time of darkness, you find that you must rely on your faith. You notice that there is enough light shed from your inner knowing, your inner faith, that you can see one step in front of you. Do you remember a time when all you could see was the next step to take? And beyond that, it was fog, murkiness. But your faith let you see what the next step was, and that was enough. One breath at a time, relaxing, trusting, resting in the arms of divine love, moving forward one step at a time. And then the light of inspiration begins to expand, and now you can see your way more clearly. The day expands into a nice 8-hour, 9-hour, 10-hour. And God said on the second day, "Let there be space between the waters to separate water from water." And so it was. God made this space to separate the waters above from the waters below, and God called the space sky. So metaphysically, each day can be thought of as a movement of the divine. The second movement of the creative process is establishing faith in our possibilities to bring forth the visible from the invisible. We affirm it is already so in the invisible. That is our imagination and our faith working together. First, God ideates and then moves through us as inspiration. We accept the invitation to manifest that desire that God has planted deep within our heart. This is the step of you believing in you. Believing you can activate the inner engine that motors the manifestation. You have told yourself, "I can do this." 4 very important words for us to say to ourselves, and if we cannot, to find that support, that person who will say it to us, "You can do this." On the third day of the Bible's creation story, the waters were gathered so that dry land could be formed. God said, "Let the land burst forth with every sort of grass and seed-bearing fruit." and let there be trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. This third movement of the creative spirit pictures the activity of ideas in mind. This is called expression. It is powered through our faculty of imagination. And of course, God saw that it was good. There's the acknowledgement. Hear that? We enjoy our creations, don't we? I have been exploring with paints the last few years, and I have most of them hung. I can't bear to part with any of them. I'm proud of all my babies. Whether they're any good, doesn't matter. Because I know what I poured into that piece. I know what it means to me. The fourth step in creation is the development of the two great lights, the sun and the moon. The sun, metaphysically, is the spiritual I am. This greater light rules the day, the realm of consciousness that has been illumined by spirit. It represents our faculty of understanding. The moon is the intellect. This lesser light rules the night and represents our inherent faculty of will. Like the moon, our will has no illumination of its own, but reflects the light of understanding. So the lesser light, or the will's role, is to execute the demands of understanding. The will does not reason. So as Jim understands that he can think new thoughts about his ability to motivate himself, his faculty of will kicks in and begins to prove the truth that has been revealed to him in his faculty of understanding. If it doesn't pan out in his first attempts, he needs to further his understanding before the will can be activated again. The fifth step in the creation parable is God creating great sea creatures and every sort of fish and every kind of bird. And God blessed them, saying, "Let the fish multiply and fill the oceans, and let the birds increase and fill the earth." The creatures metaphysically represent our thoughts, and the birds represent ideas approaching spiritual understanding. Further ideas of discernment and the power of making distinctions is developed here. The power of making distinctions speaks to me of creating boundaries. What do you think about that? How that starts to develop the judgment faculty? As artists and creators, the importance of boundaries is huge. Creating that space where we have our solitude, the artist state that I told you about once a week, that I strive to keep that commitment. That's a boundary, isn't it? It takes work to keep that sacred. When you are well balanced in mind and body, there is an equalizing force flowing in your consciousness, and harmony is evident. On the sixth day of creation, ideas of life are set into activity. This is the faculty of life. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth every kind of animal, livestock, small animals, and wildlife." And God said, "Let us make people in our image to be like ourselves." So metaphysically, livestock, cattle, for example, represent ideas of strength, which we need in the creative process. Think about it. We can be very excited and enthusiastic about a desire of our heart and get really started. Power of zeal. The rocket takes off, It blasts off from Earth. But you know, as it hits the stratosphere, it needs that second impetus, doesn't it? And that is where strength comes in. Strength takes over from where zeal drops off, like the rocket ship. So this is why affirmations are so important, because they provide the strength that we need to continue on. In the newsletter that went out this past week, I included an exercise from the Artist's Way. So what happens is, if you didn't see it, is you write out 20 times, I wish, blank. I wish, blank. And the last line is, I most especially wish, blank. And this is a great beginning to prime the pump of, what is it that I want? And you don't take too much time to think about this, because otherwise your logic will get in the way. So these are seeds that, if allowed, can germinate into creative sprouts. You can allow the light of day, the inner I am, spiritual understanding, to nourish each seed of desire, as it will grow when you practice patience and gentleness with yourselves. I'm really glad you sang that song today, Mike, because every creator needs gentleness. So I have here, nothing harsh ever helps. Although that little sprout, that sweet little sprout, may endure in spite of harshness it encounters. That's life, the faculty of life, that strength, that resiliency. Yet gentleness propels us forward much quicker, propels our creative process. When the critical voices in your heads make themselves heard, remind yourself of your commitment to be gentle with yourself. So I encourage you to take a few minutes to do this exercise sometime this week, writing out your wishes, your secret desires, things tucked away that do not see the light of day too often.
So we invite you now to stand up, and let's open our hearts and minds in gratitude as we close by speaking out loudly or silently to yourself our love offering prayer, followed by the prayer for protection. Divine love, in me and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week.